Revenge is a concept that we love to take part in. So many narratives incorporate it, in part or from the ground up. Our enjoyment is equal parts wish fulfillment, food for thought, and visceral entertainment. The grand discussion that takes place around it, including catharsis, where it comes from, subversions, lessons, all of it, is beneficial to a healthy community. I'm here to detail this thematic quality in media. This is what it all meant. To understand the revenge story's significance in pop culture, we first have to delve into why revenge is a fascination of humanity. Several years back, a group of Swedish scientists created a basic study of revenge and its effects on the brain. For brevity's sake, I'll simply state that they created a low-stakes experiment involving money and ambiguous actions. Essentially, if every participant did the right thing, everyone would be given a high bonus. But if, say, one person did not, then said person would still make a decent amount of the bonus, as well as the additional funds that they did not put in. By studying those who had been swindled and then given an opportunity for justice, the scientists were able to see activity associated with the caudate nucleus, or the reward center of the brain. Ending here, you might think that pretty much sums it up. Revenge is quite literally sweet to our brains. But a follow-up experiment says otherwise. In a similar setup, this new experiment had three groups: punishers, non-punishers, and forecasters. Each group was hoodwinked in the same way, and then given time to think. After the interval of time passed, the punishers were given the opportunity to take revenge, the non-punishers were told that they had no way of avenging themselves, and the forecasters were asked to explain how they thought they would feel if they could take revenge. One more caveat was added to the punisher group. They received a note back from their supposed aggressors. They were pre-written by the scientists and were crafted to sound like either the person knew exactly what they did or had no clue. The study found that the non-punishers quickly lost interest in the whole affair, as in they basically shrugged it off once they knew they could do nothing. The forecasters usually said they would feel better given the chance for payback. The punishers, though? Split in the two camps, both had initial hard feelings. They seemed to stew in their anger for more longer than either group, especially the non-punishers. Then, when they got their response, the only portion that seemed to get over it were those who got responses that showed the aggressor understood exactly why there was comeuppance. Many other studies have found that, say, people who think the world is a just place are more inclined to seek revenge after a traumatic event, or that people who retaliate believe they have reset a balance, while those who took the punishment believe it was too far, creating an endless cycle. But I really want to focus on the idea of revenge as a reward center response, as it relates to our enjoyment of stories depicting it. Everyone knows a basic plot outline. Applying revenge tropes does not often lead to additions. The exposition or inciting incident is normally the reason for revenge. The conflict and rising action has to do with barriers to the endgame or further damage being done. The climax revolves around getting justice, and the falling action is normally very short and pretty much wrapped into the conclusion. Every story is different. Often the rising action could have some sort of training, emotional stabilizer, or a second event. But the climax and resolution are pretty much the same for a run-of-the-mill revenge story in media. This structure resonates because it tickles that caudate nucleus. Like the forecasters in that experiment, we expect revenge to feel good, and like the punishers that receive those knowledgeable responses, we want aggressors to know why they are being punished. As long as we have a decent amount of empathy for the avenger and a good deal of malice toward the aggressor, we get these feelings and want basic good to trump basic evil. Not in a lofty, the world will be a better place sentiment, but more in tune with that simple vengeance mindset, setting equilibrium between those two parties. Summed up, we emotionally connect with the avenger, share a faint bond from the outside, and in a short time, get to feel the catharsis we believed we would feel. It's quite easy to understand why revenge is such a powerful story choice when you think about it in this way. Revenge doesn't always have to be the focus either. Often revenge is just a plot point, represented in one character, or used to characterize someone for the rest of the story. Even these shorter or caricature-esque portrayals still connect with people in that same sort of way. Knowing why it works is great, but understanding where it comes from is where we get a real sense of why the connection is even remotely important. There are human fascinations that can't be adequately measured scientifically. The studies I outlined are great, but researchers can only go so far in controlled experiments. Luckily, we can gain insight anecdotally or historically. Real life is great for those things, obviously, but portrayals can be just as expressive, even in an abstract way. Take Paul Dini, a fantastic comics writer, primarily known for his various runs on Batman-related books, shows, and games. Batman himself is a character partially fueled by a quest for vengeance over the concept of crime and all of the abhorrent things that come from it. At a point in Mr. Dini's life, he was writing Batman based on second-hand knowledge. One day, however, he himself was mugged. The pain and confusion and fear that came from that experience was harnessed into writing for this decades-old character.
I think that everybody's story about how they're able to bounce back from a tragedy, from a deep personal challenge, is helpful to other people working through the same things.
His story by itself is a great anecdote, but the perspective it gave him to write fictitiously was just as real. So when I talk about fiction as helpful in studying real-life behavior or perception, keep in mind that the stories may be fake, but what they are based on or in is not. Even if it's not intentional or negative, heavily used themes begin to take on a sort of mythology over time. People's interpretations can be varied to say the least, but a general consensus will occur within like-minded groups or cultures. When a story comes along that questions the fantasy of some popular idea often depicted in media, it's usually a great addition to its library. It makes people question that mythology, which in turn causes introspection over why they enjoy or connect with something. A film like the 2010 True Grit remake, one of the all-time great stage plays, Hamlet, or an expansive experience like Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pains, are excellent for this reason. Each of these examples uses its medium perfectly to tear down the revenge myth. True Grit stages itself as a regular revenge film and paces itself as such until the end, where we see the awful aftermath of such a story. Hamlet gives us the mind of a man gone mad with rage through his own extended monologues. MGS5 lets us as the player get our revenge, but then has us near aimless in our pursuits afterwards. Other negative portrayals of revenge come along as well. A popular trope is to get the audience to go along with the revenge story like normal. It's later revealed that the inciting incident itself was an act of revenge, and that the events are simply part of a cycle. Another is used in other genre stories that deal with, say, a mystery. Seeking revenge either leads the protagonist down an incorrect path for a time, or even halts the story with a bad ending in a game like Persona 4, which is about getting to ultimate truths. All types of revenge stories, basic or contemplative, or even simply the use as plot point, serve a nice role in a person's healthy view of that concept. This type of study is great in a thought experiment sort of way. Every story gives people a playground to dig into feelings they have over events as small as being cut in line or as large as an attack on their country's lifestyle. The more thoughtful versions of the revenge story have their obvious reasons for existing, and I've made it quite clear that I believe the reward center of the brain being tickled is why basic revenge stories are popular. However, I've yet to mention the net positive of both on a macro scale, being the prevention of need of revenge. What I mean by this is that revenge stories actively discourage perpetrators and set up parameters for acceptable behavior. It's really not even the revenge itself, but rather the reputation of revenge. People learn one of the infinite reasons not to murder, or see how they are perceived when bullying, or what punishment can look like for certain actions through these stories. I'm not saying that people are actively trying to learn these things, but rather that passive observation, including during formative years, is gained from watching, reading, listening, or controlling these experiences. The revenge story is a great template for writing a decent story. It's palatable, adds to our social norms, and can be a great source of introspective writing. Its popularity doesn't seem to be diminishing, and here's hoping it never does. Thank you.